My hands were shaking so bad I could barely grip the steering wheel as I drove down the cracked, dusty road toward my family's 3,000-acre ranch in Montana, a place we'd held since the 1870s. I'd been gone for 2 years, working oil rigs in North Dakota, trying to claw my way back from a brutal divorce that left me with nothing but child support payments and a beat-up truck. I expected to see the familiar sprawl of open fields, the old cedar barn, and the weathered farmhouse where I'd learned to ride horses with my granddad. Instead, a massive iron gate loomed ahead, gleaming with gold letters that read, Silver Pines Estates, built on historic Callahan Ranch. My stomach dropped. This was no mistake, this was a violation. A security guard in a crisp uniform approached with a smile so fake it made my skin crawl. "Sir, this is private property. You'll need to turn around." I rolled down my window, forcing my voice to stay calm. "I'm Ethan Callahan. This is my family's land." The guard's face flickered confusion, then pity. He muttered into his radio, and before I knew it, I was being ushered not to my home, but to a sleek sales office where our barn used to stand. The polished marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows mocked me, framing a sprawling artificial lake dotted with luxury homes that screamed money. My daughter, Lily, 9 years old and visiting for the weekend, pressed her nose against the car window. "Daddy, why are there fancy houses where Grandpa's horses used to run?" I had no answer. My family's legacy, 3,000 acres of Callahan land, had been carved up and sold like it was nothing. Inside the sales office, I met Victor Grayson, the man behind it all. He strode in like he owned the world, which apparently he did. Mid-40s, slick gray hair, and a suit that probably cost more than my truck, Victor oozed confidence that bordered on arrogance. "Ethan Callahan," he said, extending a hand with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I've been expecting you." His words sent a chill down my spine, like he'd rehearsed this moment. "There's been a mistake," I said, shaking his hand, though it felt like signing a deal with the devil. "This is my land." Victor's laugh was smooth, practiced. "No mistake, Ethan. You sold this land to us 18 months ago. All legal, all documented." He swiped on a tablet, showing me a deed with my signature. $3 million for 3,000 acres. Quite a steal for us. I stared at the screen, my blood turning to ice. That wasn't my signature. 18 months ago, I was in North Dakota, scraping by. I'd never seen that document, let alone signed it. $3 million for 3,000 acres? That was less than $1,000 an acre, insulting for Montana land. Before I could respond, Lily tugged my sleeve. "Daddy, look what I found." She held up an old leather-bound Bible from a donation box by the door, filled with faded family records and what looked like property papers tucked between the pages. Victor's eyes flicked to the Bible, and for a split second, his composure cracked. "Just old ranch stuff," he said, too quickly, reaching for it. "We're preserving it for our community museum." I pulled the Bible from Lily's hands before he could touch it. If it's my family's, it's mine. The drive back to my motel felt like a fever dream. Victor's words, "You sold this land," echoed in my head. I'd never sell. This ranch was all I had left to pass to Lily, the only piece of my granddad's legacy the divorce didn't touch. That night, I called my old college friend, Sarah Bennett, a real estate lawyer in Bozeman. When I told her what happened, her silence was heavy. "Ethan, bring me everything," she said. "That Bible, any family documents, everything. If someone forged your signature, we're going to bury them." Sarah's office was a small, cluttered space, a stark contrast to Victor's glossy sales center. She'd pulled county records by the time I arrived, and her face told me it was bad. "The deed says you sold the land on April 10th, 2023, she said, spreading papers across her desk. "Your signature looks perfect, notarized and all. Problem is, you were on a rig in North Dakota that week." I checked. Lily, coloring in the corner, looked up. "So someone pretended to be Daddy?" Sarah nodded. "Big-time identity theft." She opened the Bible and found a yellow document from 1875, a perpetual water rights easement, granting the Callahan family exclusive control over springs under our land. "Ethan, these springs feed their entire lake system. Without them, their $15 million development is a dry hole." The realization hit hard. Victor's whole empire is lake, his marina, his luxury homes depended on water I legally owned. Sarah grinned like a wolf. "We've got him." Over the next week, She built a case while I dug into Victor's company, Silver Pines Development. It was a shell tied to shady land deals across Montana, targeting families in distress with forged documents. I wasn't his first victim, just his biggest. But Victor fought dirty. My phone buzzed with notifications posts online calling me a deadbeat dad, a con artist, even a threat. My truck's tires were slashed. Someone threw a brick through my motel window with a note. Leave Silver Pines alone. Worst of all, Lily's school called men in suits were asking about her schedule. That's when I knew Victor wasn't just a crook. He was dangerous. The water rights hearing was a bloodbath. Sarah presented geological surveys proving the springs were ours and legal precedents backing our claim. Victor's lawyers argued the easement was outdated, but Judge Eleanor Watts, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, shut them down. In Montana, water rights don't expire because you didn't exploit them, she snapped. She ruled in our favor. Silver Pines had 30 days to negotiate water usage or stop drawing from our springs. Victor's face went from smug to ashen. Without water, his lake was doomed, and his development with it. I didn't waste time. I filed to cut off the water, and within days, the lake started shrinking. Boat docks sat in mud. The marina became a joke, and homeowners folks who'd paid millions for lakefront views were livid. HOA meetings turned into chaos, with residents demanding answers. The local news ate it up, painting me as both a victim and a villain. Victor hit back hard, hiring private investigators to tail me and spreading lies about my mental state. Then came the night 3 men smashed my apartment windows, daring me to come out. I recorded them, and they bolted when they saw my phone. But the message was clear. Victor was desperate. Then Lily found something chilling at her school library, a 1983 article about a Callahan family that vanished after refusing to sell their ranch. The photo showed a little girl who could have been Lily's twin. The article hinted at a family secret powerful people would kill for. My hands shook as I read it. The parallels were eerie: poisoned livestock, burned barns, and now us Victor's threats, the GPS tracker in Lily's backpack. I called Sarah, who'd uncovered more. Silver Pines was a front for Evergreen Holdings, a shadowy corporation tied to 50 years of suspicious land grabs. The mastermind? Richard Carver, a billionaire who'd been after our land since the 1960s, when his father failed to buy it from my granddad. The bankruptcy auction for Silver Pines was my chance to take back what was ours. I secured $20 million in financing using newly discovered mineral rights natural gas deposits worth a fortune. But strange things started happening. Men in suits asking about me in Town Warden, break-ins at my apartment, and a black sedan stalking Lily's school. At the auction in Bozeman's federal courthouse, I bid on my own land, pushing to $18 million. Then a man in a dark suit bid $25 million way over the property's value without water. I went to $30 million, my limit. He countered with $35 million, and I was done. But a last-second environmental lien stopped the auction, giving me time. Lily handed me an old photo from the courthouse desk, a man in 1870s attire shaking hands with a military figure, identified by Sarah as William Clark, a Montana founder. The back read, "Payment for services to Montana. Secret protected, Callahan family bound forever." Below, a newer note. "They know what you're hiding. Time is running out." My blood froze. Carver wasn't after gold, was chasing a myth about Confederate treasure, a decoy for something bigger. The FBI, working with Victor's testimony, revealed Carver believed our land hid Civil War documents, names of spies, plans for a second rising. Carver took hostages at the courthouse, demanding the map. I walked in with a briefcase, facing his gun. "You're wrong," I said, reading a letter from William Clark, revealing the treasure was a lie to distract from hidden records of Confederate infiltration. Carver's world collapsed. The FBI stormed in, arresting him. The documents weren't a map, but records of spies and sabotage, buried by my ancestor. We donated them to the Smithsonian, exposing history's secrets. The mineral rights, worth $200 million, funded our new life and Callahan Ranch State Park. 5 years later, Dr. Laura Mitchell, a Smithsonian historian, revealed the document's true scope: names of undetected spies, plans that shaped post-war politics. Lily, now 18, studies history, continuing our legacy. Carver died in prison. Victor works to undo his wrongs. What would you do with documents that could rewrite history? Would you expose them or let them stay buried? Comment below, like, and subscribe for more stories of justice and secrets.